What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video where I'm going to be talking about foreclosures. When everybody thinks about foreclosures, by the way, I'm talking about foreclosures in Canada, they're a little bit different than what you might hear about in the States. Foreclosures work a little bit differently. What you get with a foreclosure is not this amazing opportunity to get a home for pennies on the dollar, like an auction or something like that, like you would hear about or see maybe in the United States. Foreclosures have a lot longer of a process and a lot more that goes into it. And you may not get the smoking deal that you think. So let's get right into it. So when it comes down to foreclosures in Canada, they really only happen if you, the homeowner, miss multiple, and I mean multiple mortgage payments. How it generally starts off is you'll receive demand letters from the bank or your lender. You'll receive a few of these before they move on to the petition. Now, the petition is essentially the bank or your lender issuing a notice to a court and also to you, letting you know that they've officially begun the foreclosure process because you've missed multiple payments, because you haven't tried to reach back out to the bank or the lender to try and figure out a payment structure to repay the missed payments and such. From the demand letters, they move on to the petition, which means the foreclosure process is now starting. And after that begins the lengthy process, the affidavits. Now, what is that? That's when a notarized documents are sent to the judge and shown everything on paper as to why the foreclosure process is happening, how much you owe, and what the bank or your lender is looking to collect. And like I said, that's the most lengthy aspect of the foreclosure process. Can take anywhere from 6 to 10 months, usually averages about 8 months because they need to do their due diligences and look over everything. Again, it's multiple months of missed payments. After that, a notice of hearing is essentially set up and served to you, the homeowner. So what is that? Well, that is when you either have the option to pay the full amount, stop the foreclosure process, and of course, prevent the hypothetical court date, or it's them serving a notice to you saying that, hey, we're gonna hold a hearing. If you don't pay the full amount, this is essentially your last chance. And when it comes down to the notice of hearing, it's not like you have to pay back the entire amount immediately, like within 24 or 48 hours, because right after that, if you do wish to pay back the loan, you're served an order nisi, which is a redemption period where a set time frame is essentially set where you can pay back the amount owed in installments or in one lump sum payment by the end. Choice is kind of yours, but it's kind of set up in that manner. Now, obviously, during this redemption period, on the lender side, what they are doing is setting up a certificate of pending litigation. They are trying to get their case ready in case you do not pay back during the redemption period and they can collect or foreclose on your home. Now, while the redemption period is happening and you have this time frame to either pay back in installments or pay in a lump sum, well, the lenders are now starting the certificate of pending litigation. Essentially, what they're doing is they're getting ready to bring the case to the court in case you do not pay back or you have no intention of paying back. And while that's happening, they also implement a conduct of sale. And this is where the realtor comes into play, because a bank is not just going to sell a home or foreclose on a home and then sell it like in an auction manner to the highest bidder. What they intend to do is use a real estate professional to sell the home at market value so they can recuperate as much of the asset as possible. And while that's going on, the realtor is now preparing the listing. They're getting ready to put it on the MLS, they're getting ready to get all the photos done, and they're getting ready to show the property. And the last step before the home is officially foreclosed upon is the order absolute. And now this comes after the redemption period. If you did not pay back the amount owing, the court implements the order absolute. And what that essentially means is the lender now owns your home and they can officially sell it. And like I said previously, up until that point of the order absolute, well, there was the pending litigation, there was also conduct of sale, and then as well as the realtor putting everything together so that right when the order absolute hits and the lender owns the home, they can list and they're good to go. However, when it comes down to it, that's not even the last step. The very last step is the approval of the sale, and that comes down to the court. So how foreclosures essentially work is a home gets listed, they do showings as they would for any other type of property. They usually don't do open houses or anything like that, and a court date is set. Now, at this court date, all prospective buyers come and essentially give their highest bid for the property. And granted, it's not going to deviate far from what the property was listed for, just because a bank is not going to let go of the property for far less than what it's actually worth at market value. And you'll be surprised to see when you have 4 or 5 individuals who are buyers show up to the court date, how they'll end up bidding against each other and therefore don't necessarily get an amazing deal on the property. They might get, you know, $50,000 off, $60,000 off, maybe a little bit more, give or take. But if you're expecting to get $300,000 to $400,000 off a property, if you're expecting to get an amazing deal, a slamming deal on Canadian real estate, and you're only looking for foreclosures, well, I have some bad news for you. That's not going to happen. You'll be able to save a little bit of money, but you're not going to get an amazing deal. And on top of that, what most people don't consider when it comes to foreclosures, throughout that process, it's been over a year where the bank and the lenders and the courts and you as the owner have kind of been going back and forth and figuring stuff out, or paying or not paying and whatever. The property has not been well maintained. Usually even before the foreclosure process begins, the property is not well maintained. It's owned by an individual, usually, who has not taken immaculate care of the property. What you're essentially buying, yeah, sure, you saved a little bit of money, but the amount of work and sweat equity you're going to have to put into that home to either get it up to speed to rent out, or for you to live in, get up to that livable standard, well, that's going to cost you the money that you just saved. So is it really worth it to go after foreclosures in Canada? In my opinion, not really. But with that being said, that doesn't mean you can't save a little bit on the property. And that pretty much wraps it up, you guys. I just wanted to come on here and talk about foreclosures and set, reality into some people's minds, where they think a bunch of foreclosures are going to happen because of the market we're in. And if foreclosures happen, I'm going to be able to get a property for pennies on the dollar. I'm going to be able to snag a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom home that's, market value is 1.3 or 1.4 million. I'm going to be able to get it for $700,000. That's not going to happen. Maybe you'll be able to get it for 1.2 or 1.25. And at the same time, the property's going to be in pretty bad condition. It's up to you. My recommendation is it's easier to just find deals out in the market instead of looking into foreclosures specifically, especially here in Canada. I know in America it's a little bit different, but at the end of the day, do what you think is best. This is just my recommendation. This has been Sarbir, your realtor, signing off. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you on the next one.